Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakta bhavati nashtaki. Krishnaya vasudevaya Devaki nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatarishtarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuveva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
हो गया काम, ठीक है. All right. Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class as part of our Bhagavat Life series of program. We are in the 4th canto, chapter number 20th, titled as Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena. I will resume our discussion from the 28th verse. Once again, I like to kind of give a quick recap or recall. So one of the key verses of this chapter, there are many verses, beautiful verses to memorize. One which we should definitely memorize is the 4th, 20th, 16th verse. Varam chamatkanchanamānavindra Varanashvateham gunashilayantrata Naham akirvai sulabhastapobhe Yogena vayat samachittavati. Here Vishnu says, why I have decided to stay back. And he says, Varam chamatkanchanamānavindra, kanchan, kamna, anything. Hey Pṛthu, ask me anything that you want. Anything, everything, I'm willing to give you. Why? I'm very pleased. Varanishvate aham. Varanishva, very pleased. Te aham, I. Te by you. I'm very pleased of you. Why? Because of your gunashila yantrataha, by your good conduct, behavior and attitude and qualities. I'm not pleased. Naham akhevai sulabhastapavir. I'm not pleased by sacrifices, tapasya, even yogena, yoga, mystic process, mystic yoga perfections and all that. These are all mechanical things. What I'm pleased is how you behave, how you conduct yourself. And you have set us such a beautiful example. In the most difficult situation, we get attached, a pauper is attached to his penny. We get attached to every insignificant thing possible. And you had all the reasons to be attached to perform the 100th yajna. It's an incredible achievement that hardly anyone would be able to repeat in the history. And you know for sure, for rest of the eternity, your lineage, your dynasty will always be glorified because you were the one belonging to so and so dynasty lineage could perform 100 Ashwamedh Yajna. You very peacefully, kindly, politely have let go of your attachments to Puja, La, Pratishtha. You could have argued, you could have reasoned, not for me, it's for Praja. You didn't do anything. First of all, you heard peacefully, patiently to Brahma, agreed to him. And now you heard me when I told you the same thing. Forgive Indra. And interestingly, we never looked at Indra and we never said anything to Indra. We both of us, we came and instructed you only. You could have made it an ego issue. Why me? Why instruct me? I didn't do anything wrong. Why didn't you tell this rascal who made the mistake? If he can give up his envy, the problem is solved. But yet you heard all of us patiently. We are living in the day and time when hearing, our listening skills have literally died out. Yes or no? Everyone wants to speak. Yes or no? How many of you agree? We want to speak in front of the audience. We want to speak in front of the juniors. We want to speak in front of the seniors also. We just don't want to listen. We know everything. There's a lot to learn from this episode of Pṛthu Mahārāja. How he patiently. He was not an ordinary IT professional. He was the king of the whole world. What is the comparison between all of us and him? There's no comparison. It's like comparing a sky with the dirt. Nothing, no comparison at all. What was he? Even we hear, but there is hardly any contemplation, any reflection, how we should conduct, how we should, act within the devotee community and whatnot. Gunashila yantrataha. Your qualities, your conduct, your attitude have greatly pleased me, and we still continue to behave in our conditioned nature. No arguments, no defense, nothing. Yes, he heard. And therefore, Lord said, please ask me any benediction. Those of your parents, think about it. If you're reasoning with your child, if you're telling him what is right, what is wrong, what I want you to do, and if he hears to your advice, would you become more pleased with him? Would you bring him gifts far bigger than the gifts that he was expecting from you? Naturally, automatically, yes or no? Yes. Parents? Varun is confused. Prabhuji, nahi. मैं थोड़ा strict father हूँ. What do you say? If you're talking to your son and you're correcting him, you're telling him what is the right way to function, even when he's right, that's another level of situation. When he's wrong, then there's nothing to. Even when he's right, yet you're telling him, I want you, let the wrong person continue, you surrender and submit. Can the volume be increased as a request? Hare Krishna. In that situation, your son hears to you patiently and he agrees to you. Even in that situation when he's not wrong, and yet you're telling him, you have to give up. Let's not fight. Would you become extremely pleased by him, with him? Yes or no? What can he ask from you? You're willing to give him everything now. Yes or no? Same thing, the Lord. Somewhere, I was just reflecting late night last night. I was like, why people behave differently when they come in front of the altar, when they end their personal dealings. Why we have so much differences? There is somewhere Mayavad covering our intelligence. We still don't believe or understand, I don't know what do I say, or we still don't treat the Lord as a person. Because if we know Lord as a person, wouldn't we be conscious of dealings? Think about it. Let's say I'm talking to you Wouldn't I be conscious of you in terms of what I say, how to do, and how it's going to impact you? Isn't it? And if in case you are not a person at all, if you, let's say, this is a wall, I can kick the wall, I can shout at the wall. Does it make a difference? You see how our attitude changes, how our conduct changes? It's just nothing but Mayavad, because that has covered our intelligence life after life. We just don't change only. We just don't change only. We don't behave, we don't learn to behave properly. But when it comes in front of the Lordship, we have all the sentiments pouring out and whatnot. But what else is the answer? What else is the process? It cannot react to you. It's impersonal. You can do whatever you want, but you cannot do that with a person. Our attitude, our conduct, our behavior automatically change. And it ain't changing because Mayavad. There's no Mayavad outside. Why Prabhupada wrote so much about Mayavad? It's not that Prabhupada was getting some joy in criticizing. It's not that the Mayavad is going to read it. It was meant for whom? It was for us to destroy the Mayavad within us. Therefore Prabhupada, and therefore sometimes I criticize Mayavadis so much and so forth. Anyways, let's move forward. Today we'll try to have this chapter completed. This is probably the third or the fourth session on this chapter. So text number 28. So what had happened now, after Lord said, please ask me for blessing, then our Pṛthu Maharaj began to speak, and he said in text number 23, my dear Lord, Varan Vibhutvat Varadishwarardhada. Yes, I know you are the Varadaraj. You can give any benediction. But an intelligent person does not ask for those benedictions which are even available for a person who is caught up in the three modes of material nation. What about that? Even the one who is in the hellish condition life, even he will get it. So an intelligent person does not ask. And we quoted Taseva Hetu Prayate Takovitu Nalapete Yat Upari, that particular shloka by Nath Muni. So what do I want? I want, my dear Lord, only the opportunity to hear your glories. Oh really? What will you get by hearing my glories? My dear Lord, first of all, I want to hear, and if I hear your glories from your dear devotees, what will happen? My relationship with you get established. This whole misunderstanding, you are impersonal, you are formless, or whatever, everything will be put to dust. Everything will be settled once for all. My relationship with you would be established. And what about those? And Pṛthu expresses shock and surprise. Even those who have an opportunity to hear but still don't have taste for ear. Text 26, my dear Lord, they're nothing but Pashu. They're nothing but animal. So Mahabharata says, what is the difference and similarity between Pashu, right? Anyone remember that shloka? Full shloka. The boys, at least this much the brahmachari would know. Any of the boys here? Let's say congregation. Anyone from the congregation? What does the Mahabharata says about man and animal? Yes, Ritesh, go ahead. Please recite.
आहार निद्रा भयमेथुनं च सामान्य एतत् पशुभिः नराणां धर्मो हितेशो अधिको विशेषो धर्मेण हीना पशुभिः समानः.
Ahar, Nidra, Bhai, Maithuna are the four common things. Dharmena hina pashubi samanaha. One who does not inquire or practice dharma is nothing but an animal. Question is, what is dharma? And I have established this point from the Bhagavatam. Those of you who were there at Nasik, this was the topic on which I spoke when I was given the verse in Nasik Yatra, in Sunday morning Nasik Temple Bhagavatam class. And I have spoken on this in our Bhagavatam Bhakti Vyava series also. What is dharma? Sarva dharman parityajamam ekam sharanam. Give everything, surrender to me. What surrender to you? What I have to do? That becomes the highest dharma. Savaipam sa paro dharma yato bhattagritosade. What is the dharma by which loving devotional service develops for the Lord? What is that activity? Prabhupada, dharma means practical action. What is that practical action? What is dharma? Nobody remembers? 6th canto, Yamraji says, before that, I would quote verse from Mahabharata. What is that? The most confidential knowledge is hidden in the heart of the devotee. Only from them we can understand the truth of scriptures. And who are the Mahajanas? Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu. Yamraji speaks. I believe the sixth canto, third chapter, verses 19, 20, 21, 22. And they say, Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavat pranitam name vidur rishu namuniya. Like that the shloka goes. So dharma is a prerogative of the Lord. Nobody can establish. So what is the dharma that Lord will establish? And for that same purpose, Krishna appears is what established from Mother Kunti. And that is Tan Nama Granadibihi. Is chanting and hearing the glory of the Lord is the only dharma. And what Pṛthu Maharaj is asking? Practice of that same dharma. There is a complete sync and harmony across every prayer by every great devotee spoken. And that's the same thing he's asking. And he's saying, those who cannot hear, who cannot develop taste for hearing, or who cannot sit and hear, is only possible for those who are animals. So dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubi samana. What is the dharma? That is willingness to hear the glories of the Lord. That's the difference here, that's the point here. So we discussed that in text number 27. Then Pṛthu Maharaj said, my dear Lord, I fear api avayo ekapati spradha kali. I fear ekapati. I may have spradha. I may get into competition with a good wife. And kalir. And we may have a quarrel. Why? Because I want to serve you. I also want to serve you. And I know Mother Lakshmi also wants to serve you. And we may compete. So text number 28, we have clarified what Pṛthu Maharaj wanted as a service. Madhuri Ras and Dasya Ras, like that. Now let's see what Pṛthu Maharaj says for the text number 28 is from where we begin to read today. Jagat Jananyam Jagadisha Vaishasham Syadeva Yatkarmanina Samihitam Karoshi Falgo Purudina Vassalaha Swaeva Dishnai Abhiratasya Kimtaya Jagat Janani. So, Mother Lakshmi. Janani matlab Ma. Jagat Jananyam. Who is that? Mother Lakshmi. Jagadisha. You are the Jagadisha. You are the father of all. Vaishasham refers to anger. My dear Lord, I know what will you do when Mother Lakshmi will become angry with me. Lord says, okay, really? Please tell me, what will I do? If there is a fight and quarrel between you and Lakshmi, so Pṛthu Maharaj says, my dear Lord, I know what you will do. So Lord says, okay, tell me, what will I do? He says, Karoshi, I know what will you do. Falgu api urudina vassalaha. Without a doubt, you have to take someone's side, na? So, dear husbands, I have a question to you. If there is a quarrel between your wife and another person, and both are, let's say a friend and your wife, like that, whose side will you dare to take? Dear husbands, is my question to you. And the lordships are sitting in front, you cannot lie. So you have to say, whose side will you take? Any husbands online? What do you say? So, what do you say to your husbands? Whose side will you take? Or whose side will you be forced to take? Very obvious. So I'm guessing he's saying what? Wife. Varun said, "Abhi tu bhi to husband hai, right? So batao, kya karoge?"
मैं तो चुप रहूंगा.
चुप रह. चुप रहना भी मतलब भय का कारण है. Okay. Can you imagine Nikhil Prabhu says wife? Everyone here says wife. What Pṛthu says? Karoshi falgu api uradina vasala. I am fully confident, my dear Lord, you will take my side. Because I am Dina Vasala. I have nobody else to take shelter except for you. Can you imagine how Bhakta Vasala Lord is? He'll not even hear to his wife. He'll say, hell with you, I'll listen to my devotees. And that is the devotee's confidence. My dear Lord of the universe, translation. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is the mother of the universe. And yet I think that she may be angry with me because of my intruding upon her service and acting on that very platform to which she is so much attached. Yet I am hopeful that even though there is some misunderstanding, you will take my part. For you are very much inclined to the poor, and you always magnify even insignificant service unto you. Therefore, even though she becomes angry, I think that there is no harm for you. Okay, even if she becomes angry, you don't have to worry. I mean, why they said we'll have to take side of wife? Because they are fearful, na? Prashadam nahi milega. Ghar mein kalesh hoga. Now I don't know details. Rest of you know details. You can attend. As a brahmachari, I don't want to speculate too much about what happens in the grahastha life. So he says, I think there is no harm for you. मतलब wife का खतरा नहीं है. मतलब पिटाई नहीं पड़ने वाली. Harm. Because you are so self-sufficient, then you can do without her. So, Pṛthu's confidence is because of what? While dear Lord, you are so self-sufficient, you can live without her. So, where is the weakness, husbands? Why you cannot be impartial? Lord, you will be impartial because you know cooking. You can manage without her. So therefore we tell all our boys before getting married, make sure you know cooking. So you can act on an impartial platform, okay? I'm just joking, don't mind. Okay. So first paragraph, reading the last few lines of the purport of first paragraph. Yet Pṛthu Mahārāja, just for his personal protection, appealed to the Lord to take his part. Pṛthu Mahārāja was engaged in performing the ordinary Vedic rituals and sacrifice according to Karma Kanda. But the Lord, being so kind and magnanimous, was ready to award Pṛthu Mahārāja the highest perfection stage of life, namely devotion service. Alright. Okay, very important. Same point we started with. Varam chamat kanchana manavendra. When a person performs Vedic rituals and sacrifices, he does so to elevate himself to the heavenly planets. No one can become qualified to go back to Godhead, by means of such sacrifices. But the Lord is so kind that he accepts a little insignificant service. Therefore, it is stated in the Vishnu Puran that by following the principles of Varnashram Dharma, one can satisfy the Supreme Lord. There's a lot of space here, guys. You got to scoop it. Move. So there is enough space for everyone. Yeah. Okay? So text number 29 now. So he expresses how the conflict will be resolved, and now he continues with his prayers or asking for blessings from the Lord. Text number 29. Bhajantya tattvam mata eva sadhavo vyudastamaya guna vibramodayam Bhavat smaranadate sata nimittamanyat bhagavan vidhame. So now he's speaking about the great devotees of the Lord. What do they desire? Bhajanti yatatvam eva sadhu. So this verse is talking about sadhu, the great devotees. Great saintly persons who are always liberated, take to your devotional service, because only by devotional service one can be relieved from the illusions of material existence. O my Lord, there is no reason for the liberated souls to take shelter at your lotus feet, except that such souls are constantly thinking of your feet. So again, just to put the context and just to allow you to, or help you to focus what's going on here. This whole discussion had begun with Lord asking Pṛthu Mahārāja, ask anything. And now Pṛthu is saying, my dear Lord, I don't want any material benedictions. And now he's giving a reason. Why? I only want to hear, so that my relationship with you can develop, and so that I can always remember you. And now he's justifying that blessing that he wants by quoting example of even liberated persons. There is no purpose of liberated persons to approach you if they cannot always think of you. So that's how Pṛthu Maharaj continues. What's the desire of the great devotees of the Lord? Okay, text number 30. Very interesting verse. So now he justified what he is asking, saying that even what the great devotees want. Text number 30 now. Now, after speaking about sadhava, he'll come to the shastras. Manye giram te jagata vimohinim varam vanisviti bhajatam atayat Vācānutantya yadi te janositaha Katham punā karma karoti mohitaha. So he's talking about the allurements, the flowery language of the Vedic scriptures. Vedic scriptures promises many things. But why? Because Vedic scripture has been spoken for everyone. It has not been spoken for a particular audience. Bhagavatam has been spoken for everyone or for a particular audience? It is a very particular audience. What is that qualification of that audience? Nirma Sarana, non-envious. But Vedas are not like that. Vedic knowledge is a way of living, a way of life. It's a basic foundation of education. That's how we will grow in that culture. So therefore, this Vedic scriptures, many aspects of Vedic scriptures, segments of scriptures, offer many things. You do this, you'll get this. Karma Kanda, Karma Mimamsa, so many things are there. So now Pṛthu Maharaj is speaking about Vedic scriptures. My dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. You said, na kanchana, varam cha mat kanchana manavendra. Kanchana means koi bhi chao. I mean, for a second, think about, I don't know what example can I give. Let's say the CEO of your company comes and meets you today, and he puts his hand on your shoulder, says, ABC Das, not Das, but Jubi Vapo, Prabhu or whatever they want to call it, Mr. whatever, I am so happy with your dedicated service. I am the CEO of the company. Ask any position that you want to ask. For a second, think about it. कितने लोग कहोगे हिल जाएंगे प्रभु जी, कभी सोचा नहीं था ऐसा भी हो सकता है. CEO आके बोलता है, कितने बोलेंगे मन ही मन में कहोगे only one position, CEO. उससे कुछ कम नहीं. Can you imagine when Lord said varam cha mat kanchana manavendra, ask anything. So here Pṛthu is saying, he is expressing that emotion. My dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. To whom he said? I am already taken shelter of you, I am nobody else. What you have said means very bewildering. The allurements you offer in the Vedas are certainly not suitable for pure devotees. People in general, bound by the sweet words of the Vedas, engage themselves again and again in fruitive activities, enamored by the results of their actions, which means conditioned. You engage into one activity, enamored by the results of their actions, so you're getting caught up into the cycle of action. So what happens whenever you perform an action? There are two kinds of reactions are generated, right? What is the first? You perform a karma, then this leads to aprarabdha. And second is prarabdha. Prarabdha is whenever it's going to manifest. But aprarabdha, what happens with aprarabdha? Then next thing is kutam, which means the inclination to do it again. That is what is mentioned. Enamored by the results of the action. Once you do it, you want to do it again and again. And this is one of the reasons why Prabhupada said, when Prabhupada was speaking, when Prabhupada was saying, don't go to astrology, don't do this, don't do that. Only focus on pure devotional service. Because once you will take shelter of these sub-branches, and you think this has something to do with my life can become, whatever it is, ultimately, we want our life should be peaceful. Even devotees want. But kabhi hone wala nahi hai. So what Prabhupada said, Therefore, you take shelter of Lord only. Don't depend on anything else. But if in case we take shelter of other processes, even Vedic processes, and that gives us some result, how many of you agree our Shraddha will tilt from pure devotional service to this sub-processes? How many of you agree? Please raise your hand. Now, rather than chanting attentively, what do you think? Problem chal raha hai jeevan mein? No problem. Let's go to astrologer. He says, put this ring on your finger, everything will be okay. Do you see that? That's the whole idea about it. So Prabhupada then is, when Prabhupada says like that was the reason why there is nothing. At least we should have one perfect example. Maybe in today's and practical day-to-day life, considering somebody is going through some challenges, there could be some very tailor-made advice given to him. But Prabhupada was an acharya. And what he had to speak? The highest absolute truth without any compromise. In our day-to-day dealing, we may a little bit compromise because this person is not at that level of faith. Okay, a little bit less compromise. We do that in the beginning. We don't tell anyone chant 16 rounds from today. We say, okay, start with 2 rounds. Compromise? But Prabhupada never did that. Prabhupada never said anywhere chant 2 rounds. Prabhupada said what? So as an acharya, you have to understand, as an acharya, he has to set up the highest standard. So you cannot say why Prabhupada did that and all that. We can't argue about it. And simultaneously at a certain level of practice, there has to be time, place, circumstance, and we have to see that. So now you cannot say, Prabhupada never said astrology. Why are you saying astrology? You have to see in the full context what's going on. Is there time, place, and in the personal situation, when dealing with personal cases, Prabhupada have said many things in personal cases, what to be done, not to be done. For example, let's say Ekadashi. Prabhupada said, if you're going for Sankirtan, your prasadi, it's a written fact. Prabhupada said, for you, Ekadashi starts from Mangalati, ends on Mangalati next day. Mangalati or Ekadashi starts from 4:30 today and ends on 4:30 next day. If you're going for whole day Sankirtan, for you it doesn't matter. Because you don't have time to think about when I start, when I do, because then Sankirtan is going to get delayed. For Sankirtan, the Prabhupada said, for Sankirtan, you don't even have to follow. Go out, do Sankirtan. This becomes time, place, circumstances or not. So this is how we have to see, totality. And you can only see totality when we know totality. When we have heard about scriptures, when we learned about scriptures, like that. So enamored by the results of their actions. So Pṛthu Mahārāja, from his position of totality, when he is able to see everything, he says this is just useless. And therefore you see repeated examples of such great personalities who have seen everything. They tell you, or they tell us what is the best thing. And therefore he's saying, it is all useless, my dear Lord. All these temporary benefits which are given in scriptures, what will it make difference to us? Even if our problem is temporarily settled, what changes? We only become more caught up by that process. Of course, for us to live in this world, to move forward, we need to do something. Again, there has to be balance. I'm not saying somebody is sick. Now you have to chant holy names so you become recovered from sick. So then there's a practical wisdom. Well, at your level, you can't quote the name of Gaur Kishordas Babaji. When he will fall sick, and if he has a fever, he will cause more trouble to his body by taking a cold water bath. You know that? He will fast. He will torture his body more when he will fall sick and all that. I mean, somebody might call that's craziness. But that's how we would deal. No, we just cannot function. Again, there has to be certain compromise. Because our level of faith is not that much. What we have to do? ये तू दवाई खा, शांति से बैठ, कलेश मत कर. अपना क्या होता है? मैं बीमार हो गया, हमारा रोना शुरू हो जाता है. So accordingly things has to be seen and practiced like that. And yet Gaur Kishordas Babaji, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj have written a book. If you have not read it, please read. I often say, please read about these great personalities. One thing for all of you, at least those of you in Brahmacharya Ashram, philosophy is okay, no doubt about Tattva is needed. You will not have an understanding of Tattva just because you know something, because you have memorized shloka. You will understand Tattva when you have learnt about the lives of the great personalities. That's what you become broader in your vision. Just by reading philosophy, it will not serve a purpose because philosophy is too dynamic and too broad. आप उसका एक application भी नहीं समझ पाएंगे एक लाइन का उसका application क्या unless you have read about the lives of the great personality and observed how they lived, what they did. First of all, to begin with, read Prabhupada Lilamrita. Then go back to the life of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Go back to the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There's a small book about the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the sixth Goswami, seventh Goswami. And then we have Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, beautiful book. These should be the one which should be, if you read that, those who are not brahmachari will become brahmacharis. Those who are confused what to take a decision, if you read about these personalities, you'll have no second thought what to do in your life. So philosophy, no doubt we should, but if you're going to just think philosophy se mera sab kuch ho jayega, it needs a lot of maturity to understand and apply. That comes with purity. Yesham tuanta katam papam jananam punya karmanam. Just because we have memorized shloka, you know nothing. There are people who have by-hearted whole Bhagavad Gita, whole Bhagavatam. So it's not a fact because somebody have quoted 5 shlokas, he is learned. He may be learned, but it does not have a wisdom necessarily. Okay? So anyways, I am flowing with my full spontaneity. मैं तो अभी बैठ के श्लोक खोले मैंने तो कुछ सोचा नहीं है, and my mind is caught up with too many things right now. So anyways, text number 31. त्वन्माययाद जनैष खण्डितो यद् अन्य आशस्तरतात्मनो अबुधः यथा चरेद् बालहितं पिता स्वयं तथा त्वमेवार्हसि न समीहितम्. Now this is something, the second thing that you want to memorize, remember. Not necessarily the verse. The first thing is what to ask the Lord is, following Pṛthu Maharaj's example, we can pray to the Lord, please give us taste for hearing. Please, association of devotees to mil gaya, abhi wahan jaake mat bolna give us association of devotees. Please give me the strength to keep continuing in the association of devotees, what you need to say. Okay? अभी संग भक्ति संग मिल गया, अभी ये बोलो, इतनी क्षमता दो, इतनी बुद्धि दो, और इतनी विनम्रता दो, मैं भक्त संग को छोड़ के ना भागूं. And दूसरी चीज, give me taste for hearing. Now, very beautiful thing he says. If you look at the third line, यथा चरेद बाल हितम पिता स्वयं. आप मेरे पिता हैं. जिस प्रकार से पिता बाल हितम अपने बच्चे के हित के बारे में सोचता है और जानता है और करता है, हे प्रभु आप मुझसे मत पूछो मुझे क्या चाहिए. You give me whatever you think is beneficial for me. You bestow what you want, what you think is beneficial for me. I have clarified my objective. What I want? I want pure devotional service. Now you do, or you create situations or facilities that can help me to practice and help me attain that platform. Translation. My Lord, Tvan Maya Ad Jan Isha Khandito. So, my dear Lord, due to your illusionary energy, all living beings in the material world have forgotten their real constitutional position. And out of ignorance, they always desire some material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. Please pay attention. Out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. So, all this idea of family, all this idea of wife, all this idea of kids, all this thing. Out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. There is no real fact here. The only truth is the love between the living entity and the Lord. See, I am not speaking, I am speaking, repeating his words, from which platform he is speaking. So, whatever responsibilities you have taken, you have to do that. I am not saying, now you don't stop loving your family. That's not the point here. That's never the instruction of the Shastra. I'm just saying what he is intending to say. Out of ignorance, there are always desires of material happiness. Material happiness in the form of society. Material happiness in the form of society in the sense, we do social welfare work. For example, let's say RSS. There is a sense of accomplishment, happiness, हम कुछ समाज के लिए कर रहे हैं. Unless it serves the Lord, unless we are running ourselves what the Lord is asking us to do, is all illusion. I am trying to fulfill because everyone has got a different level of psychology. Some is so self-centered and selfish, their only happiness is in I and I. Somebody have a more broader consciousness. So their level of happiness is when they see their immediate family members being happy. Some have even more broader consciousness. They become ab aage Jan Sevak. Those who become happy if their society is okay. You know, people who go for chairman position, all that. मैं चाहता हूँ मेरा समाज, मेरी society अच्छी होनी चाहिए. बाकी मुझे कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. My society should have good place to work, good gardens, proper electricity facility. Those who are more broader, they talk about the whole neighborhood. Municipality bolo kya bolo. Those who are more broader, they talk about the city, they talk about the state, they talk about the nation, they may talk about the world. Where is Krishna here? Where is Krishna here? Out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, in the form of friendship, in the form of love. It's just mere illusion. There is no facts in this. And is it too difficult to understand? When you quit this body, what you did, for whoever you did, does it make any difference for you in your next life? Yes, according to karma, it makes a difference. If you have done some good deeds, you may get a good life next birth. But again, you are in the cycle of karma. Na? N number of people you help is not going to guarantee your ticket back home, back to God. Yes, one kind of activity you help means, as Krishna says, the one who preaches the message is most dear to me. From that point of view, if you act and serve the humanity, you're going back home, back to God. So we have to ask ourselves, a little bit reflect, how am I leading my life? What am I doing in terms of it? Where am I headed to? Otherwise, so many devotees brings in so many ideas about so many things we should do and all that. But is this aligned with the Lord? Is this what Lord wants us to do? And most importantly for us, is this the mission statement that Srila Prabhupada gave us? 7 mission statement, does it align with anything? So anything that happens, as a leader, you have to always ask or seek for yourself. Please tell me which of the one of the mission statement your idea maps. If it maps, then we are aligning with Prabhupada. Aligning with Prabhupada, as 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, when Krishna says, what is that? Arjuna, do whatever I say. What's the line? 11th chapter, universal form. Nimittamatana bhava sabyasache. In that verse purport and the following verse purport, Prabhupada says, Nimittamatana bhava sabyasache. Arjuna become the instrument. Prabhupada asks a question, how you and I become an instrument? Krishna is not sitting with us, of course sitting in the heart, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. But we cannot see Krishna, we cannot speak with Krishna. Prabhupada in the next verse purport to this verse, Nimittamatana bhava sabyasache, he writes, we understand what Krishna wants through an Acharya. Because the life of Acharya, every action of the Acharya is in the interest of Krishna, fulfilling the will of the Lord. So if you align yourself with Acharya, or the pure devotee of the Lord, and serves under him, you are serving directly under the Lord. So everything that we do has to be mapped with 7 mission statement of the Lord. So I'm not sure why I'm speaking all that. Yeah, out of ignorance, they always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. So this is all illusion. Therefore, please do not ask me to take some material benefits from you. But as a father, not waiting for the son's demand, does everything for the benefit of the son, please bestow upon me whatever you think is best for me. Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful prayers. And it's such a beautiful coincidence. We're just discussing this right during Janmashtami. Text number 32. What's the time? Yeah. I'll not read the Sanskrit translation. The great sage Maitreya continued by saying that the Lord, the seer of the universe, after hearing Pṛthu Maharaj's prayer, addressed the king as follows. So 32 and 33, Maitreya says what Lord said to Maitreya Muni, to Pṛthu Maharaj. And Lord said, my dear king, may you always be blessed by engaging in my devotional service. Only by such purity of purpose as you yourself very intelligently express can one cross over the insurmountable illusory energy of Maya. Beautiful thing? Only by such purity of purpose. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. It is not some devotee affirming. Who is speaking? The Lord. This is Krishna speaking. If you consider Bhagavad Gita, Krishna instruction to be sacred, it's not different. It's Lord Himself. My dear King, I'll say that again. These are some of the things you can, this is a beautiful point, purity of purpose. I often ask when people meet me for managerial issues and all that, I say, what is a purpose? What purpose do you want to accomplish? For example, let's say there is a drama team. They have organized a drama. What is the purpose of your drama? Anyone here? Let's see. Think about it. Anyone from the cultural team online? I don't know if I should put them onto the spot here right now. Okay, let me ask this again. Let's say there is some drama has been organized, or some musical performance, or some dance has been organized. And you work out with the team and you set it some time. And let's say the authority says, no, let's pick this slot from here, push it here. So now you're feeling, oh no, I wanted prime slot, my prime slot is went, this slot has been moved here, there, and you're having all that friction of it. And then you're asked, what is the purpose of your performance? What is your answer? What is the purpose of your service? Any thoughts? Yes, Kaushal Pṛthu. Online audience, let's get active. Let's hear from you. It's a very important discussion. Why don't you all switch on your camera and see what is going on? I'm just trying to speak for Janmashtami right now, and because this is a very important subject going on. Yes, please.
To bring everyone to the consciousness of remembering Krishna, or by that means people can remember Krishna.
Okay. What is the purpose of your service? Yes.
To please the Lord.
What is the purpose of your service? Vishwambar.
To glorify the Lord.
What is the purpose of your service? Ritesh, go ahead.
To please the authority.
That is the purpose of your service. When authority is pleased, the Lord is pleased. It is not your purpose to spread the glories. It is a cumulative effort. Everything has been done for that objective. But now you say, my service, my program would glorify the Lord more than the other program. Now you begin to doubt and debate. Who are you trying to serve? Because now you say, I know better than you, my dear sir, what is the purpose of our original service. Your purpose is not that at all. My purpose, the one who has given me service, my purpose is to please and serve. My purpose is not how much audience claps when I do a performance. Are you doing for audience? Purpose, what is it? Only by such purity of purpose. So much contamination, so much impurity, so much conditionings we mix with our services also. So always ask, what is the purpose? People come to me if I make sense. Prabhuji, that Mataji is crying. Prabhuji, unka slot yahan se wahan miss ho gaya. I go, why they are crying? I'm happy. For whom are they doing? What is the question of crying? Prabhuji, nahi audience. I go, who told you to do for audience? Did you ask me why you are doing this? I mean, kya matlab hai ye? So what's the purity? Now we are supposed, as a leader, we are supposed to pamper your false ego and impurities. Keep polishing that. No problem, keep it. Or somewhere in life you have to address it, na? If that you don't head on face it, if you don't realize your anarthas, if you don't face your anarthas, when would you rise above it? Am I supposed to keep, or anyone for that reason, supposed to keep protecting our anarthas? No, leader cannot be diluted to that level. Whoever is taking the role of a leadership, at all times have to ensure the purity of purpose is maintained, otherwise your service have no purpose. The whole Janmashtami event, because all this ludicrous sentiments, I want this, I want this, I want this, the ultimate purpose to serve Guru and Gauranga will be entirely missed. And itna effort jo background mein gaya hai, because some people are not able to align with the purity of purpose, understand that, the whole effort for the whole team goes waste. We cannot allow that. So somewhere someone has to make a tough stance. It has to be there. But how you express has to be also seen. Tough stance doesn't mean you have to brutally speak it. Maybe sometimes you have to become just like if you see Arjuna and Krishna. In the second and third verse, Krishna chastised Arjuna. Anaryan. You're acting like a eunuch. So sometimes you have to speak strongly also. Because that person has become so emotional, He's just not able to think. He's not able to just hear. That's what had happened. Now, if you see rest of the Bhagavad Gita, did ever again Krishna spoke harshly to Arjuna? There are only 2 verses where Krishna speaks harshly to Arjuna. Second and third verse. Why? Because Arjuna was non-stop blabbering. He was not willing to listen. He was non-stop blabbering. And to shake him up, as I have explained this concept whenever I'm speaking of Gita, there's a beautiful psychology here. As a leaders, as a mentors, we need to understand how to deal with people. You cannot bring your soft-heartedness when you need to be strong. There has to be an application of how you deal with individual. Why Krishna just said, you are being an Aryan. You are acting like an important man. Do you understand what it means for a Kshatriya to call him important? It's worse than a slap on a face. But thereafter, Krishna never said or used any strong language. Why? Because for the rest of the episode, Arjuna was listening. For the rest of the episode, he had a question, he will ask a question. And then what he'll do? Zip it up. What he will do? We need to practice, we need to memorize this mantra. So much we speak. When you're speaking incoherently and you're speaking non-stop, as you see Arjuna is doing, you're totally in a bodily conscious platform. Right now you need a hammer so that you can be shaken up and for a second you can stop. वो कब होता है? एक ऐसा पंच मिलेगा जब your ego is hurt. तभी व्यक्ति बैक स्टेज लेगा ना, क्या बोल दिया? ऐसे कैसे? Can you imagine what a shock would be? And immediately the equation changed. If you focus what the conversation going, Arjuna already kept his Gandiva down and he has already said, I'm not fighting. You know, after that punch, what he said? My dear Lord, I don't know what to do. You can go back and read Bhagavad Gita. You know what he said? My dear Lord, I don't know what to do. Please guide me. It happened after that punch. If Krishna would not have given that punch, do you think Arjuna would have ever come to the situation? How much taken aback Arjuna would have been? Arey, kya bol diya? I'm being important. You know, I'm being an Aryan. What a disgrace for Arjuna to hear such things. And then immediately he changed the question. The 5th reason which comes after this verse is, Lord, or no, not Lord, Krishna, I don't know what to do. Which means he has changed his position now. From saying that I quit, at least is better. I don't know, which means I need some guidance. You see that? Therefore, there is a situation when you need hammering. Because व्यक्ति कुछ भी बोलने में लगा हुआ है. Anyways, sorry, full spontaneity, I don't know where all I'm going. So, purity of purpose, purity of purpose. So, it's an important, very sacred responsibility of a leader to align all community members to the purity of purpose. Once in a while, because just to allow that person to function, we may little bit adjust, which means we may give up our high standards and come to low standard just for the sake of that person as a well-wisher, just to continue practicing bhakti. But that can never become a norm. That is just very time, place, circumstances, okay. Because it is said okay once, others should not take advantage of it. Because if others try to take it, you might get a hammer. So, because our duty is to raise consciousness, or our duty is to come down to the consciousness of a conditioned living entity. What do you think? Our duty is to raise consciousness or come down to the consciousness of a conditioned living entity? For raise consciousness, it needs bala. It needs strength. And for that, you have to use whatever is needed in that situation. Is that okay? Text number 30 is the purity of purpose. Text number 33. My dear King, O protector of the citizens, henceforward, be very careful to execute my... So Lord is speaking. So, be very careful to execute my orders, not be misled by anything. Anyone who lives in that way, simply carrying out my orders faithfully, will always find good fortune all over the world. So, how life becomes auspicious? Be very careful to execute my orders. How life becomes auspicious? Do not be misled by anything, which means anyone gives any suggestion, we have to ask, how does it align with Guru Sadhu Shastra? प्रभु जी हमारे बहुत अच्छे दोस्त उन्होंने ऐसा कह दिया तो हमने कर लिया. Anyone who lives in that way, simply carrying out my orders faithfully, will always find good fortune all over the world. That's the way of auspiciousness. So we are having challenges after challenges, troubles after troubles. That's not the time to complain. It's a time to pause and reflect. What's going on in my relationship with the Lord? Anyone has ever done that? It's a very important thing. I heard this for the first time from Krishna Smaran Pṛthu back in Chicago. I learned many beautiful things from him. So I had asked a question. I'm just kind of pull out the history of the statement which I made. And that time he said, I had asked a question. So then he said, when you're feeling empty, when you're feeling void, when you're feeling incomplete, when you're feeling getting distracted, when you feel becoming faithless, when you feel, totally disoriented or becoming disoriented, you got to pause and reflect. What happened to my relationship with Krishna? This all can only happen in one situation, when mercy has been withdrawn. And therefore I often say, Apara, be very conscious. Be very conscious. And plus those who are managers, Janmashtami things are going on. There is a reason, although I have negative time, there is a reason why I said all HODs to meet me. Because I'm already getting complaints from different devotees. This is going this way, this is going that way, this devotee is not speaking properly, this devotee is not communicating properly, I was supposed to do the service, he just took me out from service. There are already things going on in the background. I mean, those of you know, I'm not sleeping before midnight. It's just become a constant thing because of so many things in terms of the land and all that. And in that, I had to fit in this thing. I want every HOD to meet me. Why am I meeting that? Because somewhere we are just not doing things. Of course, that's fine. We are learning. We need to be better. That's fine. So that's the whole thing. It's not that मुझे खाली खुला बैठ के शौक पड़ा मिलेगा. When I don't have time, when I'm struggling to even finish my 16 hours these days, from the last few days or weeks like that. So, what was the point I was saying here? In what context did I say that? When the life is going tough, you got to pause and reflect for yourself about your relationship with the Lord. Don't look outside and say he is responsible, she is responsible. Nobody is responsible. Because choice is our free will and our freedom. So now you sit and think. I mean, who could have more troubles than Kunti and Pandavas? And if they can continue to still live under the shelter of the Lord, why can't we? So somewhere something has gone wrong, because of which our mercy of the Lord has been withdrawn. And therefore, we are not feeling such joy in Vaishnava community and in our devotional practice. Text number 34 is done, right? So, that is done, right? I was speaking 34?
33.
33. Okay, text number 34. So, I'll read translation. The great Saint Maitreya told Vidura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead amply appreciated the meaningful prayers of Mahārāja Pṛthu. Thus, after being properly worshipped by the king, the Lord blessed him and decided to depart. It's too important a purport to miss. I'll read the purport. Most important in this verse are the words Prati Nandyartha Vachaha, which indicate the Lord appreciates the very meaningful prayers of the king. When a devotee prays, so this is a conclusion of the prayers. Prabhupada writes about prayers now. When a devotee prays to the Lord, it is not to ask for material benefits, but to ask the Lord for his favor. He prays that he may be engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet birth after birth. Lord Chaitanya therefore uses the word Mamavat Janmani Janmani, which means birth after birth. Because the devotee is not even interested in stopping the repetition of birth, the Lord and the devotee appear in this material world birth after birth, but such births are transcendental. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavat, the Lord informed Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had undergone many births previously, but the Lord remembered everything about them, whereas Arjuna had forgotten. The Lord and his confidential devotees appear many times. One must understand, it's the same thing. Anyways, so the summary, the lesson of prayer, the first few lines, devotee never asks for material benedictions. He only asks for one thing, maybe engage in the service. And hearing is also a service. In relation to Lord, everything becomes service. Text number 35 and 36. King Pṛthu worshipped the Devtas, the great sages, inhabitants of Pṛthu, inhabitants of Gandharva, those of Siddhalok, Charanlok, Panangalok, and etc. lokas. He also worshipped many of the living entities who presented themselves in the sacrificial arena. With folded hands, he worshipped all this, as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the personal associates of the Lord. by offering sweet words and as much wealth as possible. After this function, they all went back to their respective abodes, following in the footsteps of Lord Vishnu. So Prabhupada in the Prabhupada talks about life on other planets. Text number 37. The infallible Supreme Personality Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priests who were present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Text number 38. King Pṛthu then offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is the Supreme Lord of all Devtas. Although not an object of material vision, the Lord revealed himself to the sight of Mahārāja Pṛthu. After offering obeisance to the Lord, the king returned to his home. The Supreme Lord is not visible to material eyes, but when the material sense is inclined to the transcendental loving service of the Lord and are thus purified, the Lord reveals himself to the vision of devotee. Avyakta means unmanifest. Although the material world is a creation of the Supreme Personality Godhead, he is unmanifested to material eyes. Mahārāja Pṛthu, however, developed spiritual eyes by his pure devotion service. Here, therefore, the Lord is described as Sandarshitatma, for he reveals himself to the vision of the devotee, although he is not visible to ordinary eyes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 4th canto, 20th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Mahārāja Pṛthu. Hare Krishna. So chapter 21, that will continue sometime in future. I don't know when. We'll see. Based on my schedule, I'll let you know when we'll meet again for this discussion. So just to conclude a few things. So those who are rendering manager services, you have to be extra careful. First of all, one skill set which you definitely need to have, which you can never undermine, is good communication skills. All conflicts happens because of poor communication. Can you tell me what has to be the topmost factor that could decide good communication? What could be the topmost factor which could ensure and decide good communication? Camera light went off? Oh, okay. Listening skills, okay. Yes, Apurva?
Concern.
Concern. What else?
Humility, clarity of thought.